when you talk about, getting lost in time when you're doing stuff with technology, I find myself, if I'm in the restroom and I have my phone, I'll easily spend 30 minutes just sitting there on my phone. But if I don't have my phone, I'll be in and out within like 5 minutes.
So the bathroom has become your place of worship to your smartphone.
To my phone. Yeah. As odd as that sounds. Yeah.
Your bathroom is now the sanctuary to your smartphone. Do you have like a little pedestal to put your smartphone on?
No.
Okay.
It's my hands.
No, your hands are just a little pedestal.
Yes.
I totally forgot about
Aaron
that.
has no idea what's going on right now because he hasn't plugged in his headphones yet. So he didn't hear about his conversation about his altar to his smartphone.
Wait, my what?
Altar to your smartphone.
The throne of the
bathroom.
John.
I figured use that one since the topic we'll be covering today.
Ow!
Stop hurting yourself.
Here's my backpack.
Have you ever just learned something about someone that you just wish you had brain bleach for? That was like 5 minutes ago for me just now.
It was a great weekend.
I'm surprised you don't expect
Friday
it from him.
night.
I know I should expect it, but yeah, never mind. Not going there. I'm using discernment on this one because first off, no one else in the world deserves that horrible mental image.
I'm sure they've seen worse.
Probably, but still, don't need to have that.
Seen or heard?
Both.
Yes. Regardless of the fact, welcome to another episode of User Words Podcast. I got Aaron and Josh back again here, and of course they're in their standard configuration because how dare they ever do anything that's different from the normal? Except for Aaron, he keeps doing everything different from the normal.
I do?
Yeah, you're
I
using
like
a different
that.
mic stand
right, yeah.
type today. You're doing all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
You're thinking about having a sex change operation.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it was
already
talked about.
I can see some of our listeners. I can just picture their faces as soon as they hear that.
Just
Yeah.
remember, this isn't your RBC college group. They all listen now. Hi, people.
Yeah.
How's it
Hi,
going?
how are you all doing?
They're all probably like, we always knew. We love you, Arena.
Okay, Arena. So you don't have to. My name can still be Aaron, and people just
spelled
change the
with an E.
spelling.
Yeah, but I'm kidding. You're not actually thinking about it.
No, I'm not. I'm really not. I
You
swear.
were just being an idiot, joking around with about that
Yes.
last night with someone.
Yes, that is
But-
it.
Yes, I
And-
know. I get it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It was a good night, though.
It's good. But I
Uh.
played the altar to the smartphone because we're going to be talking about. I know it's like we start this out like this, and it's like, okay, now we're going to talk about something serious, spiritual wise, on
Spiritual
everything. But
boredom.
yeah, spiritual boredom. But before we get there, so this year, Aaron, for your word of the week, I need to get commission a new jingle because it's not just you who gets to do word of the week anymore.
Yay!
It's Brewer who has to help you. So here's how this is going to work. Remember in Christmas when Brewer tried to get you to define a word? That's what he's going to do again. He has all the data in front of him that he needs to help you with this. He cannot use any of the words in the definition, obviously. He can't give you the definition, but he has to get you to define the word. And he has 1 minute to do so.
Oh,
You got that, Brewer?
he's not listening right now.
So
You got that?
some of these are interesting.
Yeah, but the one I gave you, specifically that link.
Oh, specifically that one.
Yes.
Okay, I gotta reload it. I started looking at them.
There's a reason I gave you a specific link.
Okay, all right, it's loaded.
So, Aaron, after I say go, you will have a minute for Josh to get you to define this word. Okay? So,
Okay.
the word, it's from the 1920s, and the word is dewdropper.
Dewdropper.
Yep.
Dew.
This is weird.
So, yeah. So,
Dewdropper.
so sometimes on a Saturday, one could be a dewdropper. It's
On-
good. It's good to do it once in a while, but if you're a dewdropper all the time, that's a bad thing. So, with that being said, that's all the clues I'm going to give you. As soon as I say go, you got 1 minute, Josh, to get him to define this word of dewdropper. Ready?
Go.
Ready, Josh?
Yep.
Go.
It's you.
Wow. Oh my! I don't know what I am.
Oh, that's a problem.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so what do you like to do every day? Not every day, but what do you like to do most often? A lot of people do it. You come home and you
What
do
do I
what?
like to do?
Yeah, you
I
come
don't like using the bathroom, but that's
No,
what I
no,
do
no,
when I
no,
come
no, that's not
home.
what I meant.
Okay.
Okay, so when you come home, That's one of the things.
Sit down,
Skyrim.
relax, play games,
Okay.
play music,
There's another word for that.
indulge in video game activity.
But you are ultimately what?
Couch potato.
Which is another. What's another word for couch potato?
Lazy bum.
There's another component to it.
Rick, hurry up, Josh.
I'm trying. And
I'm assuming it has
You
to
got
do with
half of
lazy.
it. You got half of it.
What?
Or is it bum?
What's I leave early from
Works.
night activities to try to do this.
Sleep. You
'Kay.
sleepy, lazy person.
1 minute's up.
But-
Sorry.
oh,
You
frick.
got half of it. It's lazy guy who snoozes all day and doesn't have a job.
So, well, okay. At least I have
You got
a
the
job.
you got the lazy portion.
At least I have a job.
I know how I love how he started off. This is you. I'm like,
yeah. Thanks.
Not quite.
I
not
do
quite.
work.
I was like, no, not exactly, but
It's you.
so
So a lazy. What?
lazy guys who snooze all day and don't have jobs.
So.
Here's a sentence from the 1920s. Try to translate this. No matter if the kiss is the bee's knees or a flat tire, when a guy turns out to be nothing but a dewdropper, all bets are off.
Dude, the bee's knees is that's something that's really cool.
Yes.
It's like that's what's up. That's the stuff.
Yeah.
To say nicely. Well, the ginger boy would say that a lot. The bee's knees.
The ginger boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You know who I'm talking about, right? No?
Not off the top of my head.
Oh, Peter.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I was like,
The ginger boy.
the ginger boy. Got it. Congratulations, Peter. You are now the ginger boy. Because he
Yes.
listens.
What? Because of what?
He listens.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. At
Nice. I did not know that.
least he didn't call him an egg.
I didn't. What's that?
In the
mean?
1920s, an egg was an insult for
white
an
boy?
obnoxious person.
Oh, well, he's not obnoxious, is he?
That's what I said. You didn't call him an egg. But if they were particularly obnoxious, you would call him a double yoker.
A double yoker.
Yep. You got it.
So,
Sorry.
What?
yeah. But old egg was an affectionate term for
Oh.
one's partner.
What? An old.
Like the phrase of old lady when you said affectionate partner.
No, I don't know. What? No.
I don't know where he
What?
went.
You're an old. Not my old.
Okay,
egg,
so
but
old
you're an
egg is what you're talking about for an affectionate partner, right?
That's what they said. Yes.
Okay, and I'm saying old lady is a phrase
It's
used
just
for
an
one
old-
referring to one's wife.
Is it?
Yeah.
I just
You
call old
haven't heard
lady-
people use that phrase
I
before?
call old ladies old ladies.
This come from the guy who didn't know what it means when you say a woman is glowing.
What?
You don't know what that means?
Do you know what that means?
No, he doesn't. Thank you.
When
Me,
she's
Bryce, and
wait,
Aaron.
wait. Okay, it could be a couple things.
All right.
Such
One
as
the first thing that comes to mind is if she's like, is it ovulating, or she's like in that time where she's just like, boom, gorgeous.
no,
Then I don't know. That's
pregnant.
Oh, the buns in the oven thing.
Yeah.
Why is that glowing?
People just say that.
I've never heard that used.
Oh
as
my
a
goodness.
pregnant-
All you young people.
Well, no, I figured like if
Need to
she's
learn
glowing,
English.
She's like like beautiful.
Yeah.
Like pregnant's not beautiful.
Wow.
You heard
I'm
that?
kidding.
You heard that here from Aaron Johnson.
It's never mind. I don't want to continue making comments on this anymore.
Pregnant's not beautiful. Aaron Johnson 2020.
This is a rough start. Oh no. I was joking. I swear.
Were you?
Yes, it's yes.
Okay. Cause
What did not seem like it?
No. I was like,
I just wouldn't imagine like what like, son of a gun. What's going on?
what is going on, sir?
Because yes, being pregnant is a beautiful thing,
Okay.
but it is also a very messy and disgusting thing. At least for the female, unfortunately.
And a very hungry thing for the man.
No.
Yeah?
I don't get hungry when a girl's
No.
pregnant.
You're hungry because she's eating.
Eating
the
all the
baby's
food.
hungry. Yeah. So you have no food left over. Go get groceries. You bring them home. Right before you put them in the cabinet, they're all gone.
Josh is in for a wake up call when he has his triplets.
I'm excited for that day.
Me too.
Why? Because you're going to be watching them?
No, I'm
No.
not gonna be. I already told you no.
That ain't happening, sir. That's all you and Amy. Congratulations.
Pregnancy
No.
is beautiful. It's just can be very unfun.
Except a couple minutes ago, you just said it wasn't.
Well, the whole getting nauseous and sick and feeling like garbage part is not fun. I don't have to experience that. Praise the Lord. So now to go into spiritual boredom.
Wow, that's going to be a transition. I don't know how I'm going to cut that one together, honestly.
You got this. I believe in you.
You're going to put my editing skills to the test on this one. I'm trying to think. I honestly am trying to think how I'm going to segue out of the previous stuff and what to keep and what not to keep. Because I usually do that while recording. So I'm like, I will end at
pregnancy.
I will end at Johnson says
spiritual.
Pregnancy is ugly. So I'll end it.
Great.
I'm kidding.
Ah!
I'm kidding.
Yeah. You probably grow a lot spiritually during being pregnant, right? Could, maybe. Who knows?
Or you
I'll have
could
to ask my sister.
Or you could be like, a lot of the women in the world, unfortunately, they get postpartum depression afterwards, and then they're just depressed after they give the birth to their kid. But
What? I've never even heard of that.
you are such a youngin'.
I am young.
You have so much to learn about life.
Wait, why would you get depressed after having birth?
It's a thing.
What causes depression?
You really want to go on to that whole conversation about what causes depression?
Well, after giving birth, like what would cause that? I don't know. No, I'm curious, but I guess that's another thing for another time.
Yeah.
And we actually need to have some women that have given birth.
You've never heard of someone saying that they have the baby blues?
No.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Baby blues.
Yeah. Mood swing, anxiety, sadness, irritability, feeling overwhelmed, crying, reduced concentration, appetite problems, trouble sleeping,
Isn't that
depressed
normal?
mood, excessive crying, difficulty bonding with baby, withdrawing from family or friends, loss of appetite, inability to sleep, overwhelming fatigue, reduced interest, intense irritability and anger, fear you're not a good mother, hopelessness, feeling of worthlessness, diminished ability to think clearly, restlessness, severe anxiety, thoughts of harming yourself or your baby, recurring thoughts of death or suicide. There's also postpartum psychosis, which is confusion and disorientation, obsessive thoughts about your baby, hallucinations, delusions, sleep disturbances, excessive energy and agitation, paranoia, and attempts to harm yourself and baby. Yeah, so that's a real thing. Year is try something new, different on the podcast at least once a month, at least once, maybe twice. You never know. It can come up more than that. We're not limiting it, but at least once have a more spiritual type based conversation.
Yay.
So this month's conversation is one that I proposed and didn't get any resistance on. So I was like, okay, I assume that we're good to go on this. Is what do you do then when you are bored in life, but specifically when you're bored spiritually in life? So before I even get there on what do you do, let me ask this question to both of you, and then I will answer in return. Have either of you ever gone through a period of where you're quote unquote bored spiritually in life?
Yeah.
I'd be a liar if I said no.
Okay, yeah, I'd have to agree right there with that. I'm not saying for you. I'm saying for me. I'm answering for me, not for you.
Okay.
Okay. So, anything you want to add other than just I went through that? Like, was there any specific context around it? Was there anything that would add to the understanding of it? Maybe help someone else out who is maybe going through that themselves.
Yeah. I guess I would being spiritually bored would be the same as saying like basically you're just kind of like dry.
Yes. Let's go with that.
All right. Because I mean, yeah, there's definitely been those times which I feel like 29, not this year. It's 2020 now.
Yeah, it's 2020.
So in 2019, I feel like was a big change up for I guess that kind of stuff. Basically, for me, it's always my fault. That when I get into that kind of a season, I guess, is one, either I'm not doing my part, I guess, in growing spiritually. Like, well, one obviously being an easy one is reading daily.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big thing I was missing out on. And I guess even I always went to church on Sunday if I was in town. So I was doing that. Majority of the time I was helping out with youth group ish. Well, basically just attending youth group. Since I never actually even left. And I think that was the biggest thing is just not reading, taking time to read daily or as best as you can do to that, which there is always time to do it. It's just I'm being what was the dewdropper? Yeah.
Yeah. What do you prioritize in your life?
What do I prioritize?
I'm saying that essentially is what it comes down to.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because there's 24 hours in a day. We all have 24 hours in a day. But what are you doing with those 24 hours? What do you prioritize? Are you prioritizing the video games? Are you prioritizing the dating scene? Are you prioritizing
dating scene?
the sleeping scene?
Did you say dating scene?
Yes, you.
Oh.
You and your infamous number of dates, which are at 0.
I can't even count because
No. You had the one girlfriend.
I don't count that.
I do and I don't. I don't really, but yeah, it could I don't know. But so no, yeah, for that, and I would say so I think I'm like kind of like at this point now, not where I'm like become good, like not at a point where I'm gonna become spiritually bored or dry. But one thing, oh my goodness, they're beating something over there.
Let them.
That sounds terrifying.
They're putting tables away.
Oh, I thought they're like literally slamming stuff.
Yes,
okay.
They are having a baby shower brawl.
Baby brawl. Yeah.
It's WWE over there in the baby shower
with
room.
babies. The pregnancy is beautiful because then stuff like that can happen.
Anyways, go on.
I'm sorry.
Go on.
But one thing is getting out of that comfort zone because then that's where a lot of growth can happen. And when you're growing, you're not gonna be bored. There's this one. What is it? It's like one meme that I always enjoyed seeing everyone see, where it shows like a little kid with his, I'm assuming his mom, on a roller coaster going down.
Okay.
And it was saying like something like God has a plan for your life or whatever. And then there's you, the little kid that's just like freaking out, terrified. And there's the mom was like being like supposed to be like the Holy Spirit or whatever, just having a blast, walking along with you and kind of thing through whatever it is that's going on. So I was like, yeah, it can be definitely frightening, but I don't know. It's like last night I was not out of my comfort zone. I was just getting more frustrated than anything.
Fair enough.
At first. So I was helping doing sound at this event, and I thought I had a lot more gear with me than I actually did. That was my fault for not triple triple check it. Wow, I can't talk. This is rough.
Congratulations, you have my disease.
Double triple checking my equipment, and I was making stuff work in a very, I guess, sketchy way. So through that, like I was just getting so frustrated because like I couldn't find the stuff I needed, which was aggravating me to no end. I was like, man, it's like this is gonna suck. This is gonna be terrible. It's not gonna sound good, and I blew it, kind of thing. But no, so we ended up, getting things to work enough. And at the end of the night, I just realized I guess when I'm so focused on making sure that I get it right myself and that like I know what I need to make something sound good or work, God was just like, you're a fool. I had this all taken care of anyways. It worked out fine. The night was still great. And which I guess, yeah, I mean, from the feedback from not just like about the sound or whatever, just like the whole night in and of itself, the sound was a very small factor in any of this being a good night. So that was a learning moment for me last night even. But yeah, it's being consistent with reading. Another big one is being just really open and honest, I guess transparent with stuff that's going on in life. Because as soon as you start to just hide stuff and keep to yourself or whatever, then it's easy to get into that because then everyone's just like, oh, yeah, he's just fine. He's good. He's a good dude, whatever, or person, gal, whatever. And nothing really gets fixed or addressed. And then you just kind of go by doing the motions, just living, I guess, in a sense, a lie. Well, yeah.
Right. So
and that's very devastating.
Yeah. And at that point, it sounds more like not maybe boredom, but apathy.
Well, yeah. Because
boredom is really that disinterest.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know what? No, I'm done. This is no longer for me. So yeah, it could be that dry time, that trying time. But anyways, go on.
Well, because I mean, yeah, when we started talking after I finally opened up to you, that was another new time of. That was a new time where things started rolling in my mind and started, making more connections and stuff, and I guess just more growth. So I feel like, because before that point, I mean, I was pretty much doing my own thing, still doing the whole goody two shoes, good Christian boy lifestyle, but then having my own fun on the side, just kind of being hush hush about it. And then it's like, nope, that ain't right. And then conviction happened, and then that whole fun time with you started, where I didn't want to talk to you, and then I did talk to you, and then it was good.
Wow, the most abstract way to have a conversation right there.
Yeah. So there's that, I feel like. And then going back to like getting out of your comfort zone. Just pushing yourself to do something. Obviously you don't have to be extreme and do something that you're just like terrified of doing, but just taking small steps to get towards that, I guess one thing really livens things up for me, at least.
Okay.
And just making sure you're one with friends and stuff like that to keep things going. That's where I guess like accountability stuff kind of comes in line, and just having that fellowship between other people that are on the same track as you can, same track, keep you going, keep things interesting.
Well, it'll keep things interesting, but I mean, you could still, even with that community aspect of things, you could still get bored. You can still have that disinterest come along.
Yeah.
But no, that's fair. That because you're talking about from your experience and how you deal with it. So that's fine.
I'm saying for 2019, especially when I started to connect with some my fellow band member. When I found out I started going to the same church as he did, I was like, what? So then we became better friends through that, and then just some people reconnecting with that I've known in the past, and then also making several new other friendships has been a huge, huge, I guess. Well, I don't want to say, it is a blessing, but just a huge impact, I guess, too, on making it more, I guess, exciting to a point to be a part of.
Okay.
But then that's a terrible reason. That's like a terrible, if not terrible. I don't know.
Fair enough. You don't have to know everything.
Yeah, this is true. Well, I clearly don't. But to, I guess, have that be a reason of why you wouldn't be spiritually bored is also not. If that is the sole reason, that is not good, I would say.
Yeah. And there's multiple reasons why that could be. It could be something where it could be a temporary thing because you're just so stressed out at the time. It could be maybe you're going through something mental illness thing. Maybe you're not able to sleep right now because you're working 50, 80, 90 hours a week. So things like that can get in there, and that causes that. But before I go further into that, Josh.
Yeah, what about you? What are any of your thoughts?
Because after this, I have questions.
Oh, no.
Bro.
Oh, no.
So what am I supposed to say?
You tell me. You do your own thing.
This is you,
this
boy.
Is all you, BB.
Spiritual boredom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question was, since you weren't paying attention, was if you want to give any more context around when you said, yes, you have been, like an example, a situation, and what your thoughts are on it. Go.
I think we're always kind of like in this phase of spiritual boredom.
Okay.
What?
Explain.
Hang on, I'm getting there.
Yeah, no, I'm just making sure that you do get there.
I mean, when we really look at it and just look at it for clearly what it is, we don't want to have a connection with God. We don't want to do any more work than what we need to. We're naturally lazy. We have a natural draw to tempting things. So I think when people say spiritual boredom, I think it's just more of a momentary will that they are not pushing on themselves. What was it? I remember hearing once that you have, what is it called? You have action, motivation, inspiration. And they combine this circle. And, people are like, well, how do I get motivated? How do I get out of this rut? And this is generally speaking, but this is easily applied to spiritual boredom as well. It's just by doing something will create inspiration, which will create motivation. So if you're motivated, you should do it. And if you do it, you'll be inspired. And if you're inspired, you'll be motivated. So I think spiritual boredom is just something that is constantly going on in all of our lives. And it's just more in a sense of us trying to make sure that we don't allow ourselves to stray too far away.
I'm trying to process this through because...
So in a sense, we refer to spiritual boredom Right now, in the context, we're referring it to a time in which we are disconnected from God.
I would say not even so much disconnected, because you could feel disconnected because, for example, I go to a strip club. I would feel disconnected because I intentionally sinned. It's not that I'm not interested. I'm disinterested. I'm not bored with God. It's I let myself intentionally sin and go there and let the lust take over. That's not a disinterest in God. I still have that interest and I feel convicted afterwards.
But then
the boredom is where I'm not even interested in God. Like, I don't want to go to church. I don't want to hear what anyone says about God. I don't care about praying. I don't care about reading. I don't care about X.
And that's what I'm, in a sense, trying to get at, is because when you truly know the truth about Christ and what he's done, how could you be bored? How could you be uninterested?
I'm tired. I am mentally exhausted from working 90 hours a week.
And that's where I'm saying
I'm going through my triplets are not letting me sleep at night. I'm arguing with the wife every day about the triplets and the upcoming quadruplets.
If that happens, I feel so bad for her. There's a lady that gave birth to twins twice in 1 year. Anyways, so back to it. That's what I'm saying. So you come home and we're kind of looking at it as like a chore, in the context that we're referring to, as you were just saying. It's kind of like a chore. I come home. What do I got to do? I got to do dishes. I come home. I'm tired. I don't want to do the dishes.
Okay.
I come home. I need to do the laundry. I'm tired. I don't want to do the laundry. Right. So we can, in my mind, we can say any excuse we want, but who wants to do the extra effort? I mean, as humans, we just want to sit back and have everything done for us. We want to do the easy things. We want to do, you got some weird people that like to go out and flip tractor tires for fun. But
they're called CrossFitters.
Yes. And football players. And gosh dang it, I'm losing it. Why am I losing it? I was on path.
You're supposed to
I haven't
write
written
stuff
anything down
down.
yet. But so spiritual boredom to me is more of a sense of not having the will to keep up with it. So yes, you can have the thing of, I come home and I'm tired. But in a sense, how can you be bored with something that is so exciting, something that is so promising, something that is everlasting? How can you be bored with something like that? So that's where spiritual boredom, to me, the only reason why we wouldn't have an attraction to that is because we are born sinners. We are born with the desire to go the opposite direction. To me, spiritual boredom is more of a lack of will to continue and keep up and nurture that relationship. That's how I see spiritual boredom. So that's why I say we're technically all in spiritual boredom. It's just who has it more than someone else. That's how I see it. Because we all face it. We go to camp, or we get away where we disconnect ourselves and we go somewhere where there's a bunch of Christians for a weekend or a week, or maybe we go and we serve and do missions in a different part of the world. We have that drive, we have that energy because we're surrounded by nothing but God and his people and his will and his love. And so at that point in time, you really can't have spiritual boredom. And yet there are probably some people who do go in those situations and they are spiritually bored. But that's where I'm saying it's something that's more of a nurture effect.
So you're doing something like that, like a camp or whatever, or a mission trip. And don't take this the wrong way, but that's like the junk food and easy entertainment version of Christianity.
No, I understand, because as soon as you come out of it,
and when
you don't even want to enter back into the normal world. You don't want to go to your job. You don't want to go to school because you got to deal with all the crap that's out there.
Yep. But the reason I bring that up is, your body can't sustain on just that easy junk food stuff day in and day out. You need real nutrient. You need real.
Got no nutrient.
But same thing with the food, and this is where I'm saying the nurture effect to it and taking care of it, and it's something that we need to keep up with. Is it costs money to go to the store to buy good food? It takes your time to prepare good meals. You can go to you can go to the store and buy quick meals and stuff like that are healthy, but they're not as healthy as if you prepared it for yourself, you bought organic, and anything that's not been treated by chemicals. So even in that sense of eating healthy, you have to keep up with it because it is so easy. It is so easy to sit there, go to McDonald's and go, I'm going to buy a wrap. That's the healthiest option I have. That's not the healthiest option you have. There's more healthier options out there. So that's how my mind processes it.
Okay. So the way, and this is just me observing how you two are describing it. Here's how I'm hearing and seeing it. Josh is describing it at the very micro level and Johnson at the very macro level. Surprisingly. Surprisingly. But so it's just a different view on it, which is going to make my next question so fun.
I just want to answer.
Go for it.
Oh no.
So in your way of saying that it's like a time you go through. Yes, I completely agree with it. But I think that's what we label as spiritual boredom. We don't look at the big picture. So when we enter a noticeable time in which we don't want to keep up with it, we don't want to pray, we have something in our life that is distracting us, or maybe it's a daily thing that we have or possession that is pulling us away from it. We will describe that as spiritual boredom because you don't have that desire. But ultimately, we naturally don't have that desire. So I'm just taking what you're saying, Aaron, and painting it over your whole life. We're always spiritually bored. What are you going to do about it?
What?
I'm just saying we're all spiritually bored. What are you going to do about it?
I wouldn't say that, but
Yeah, I would have to not. How am I going to put this?
You don't agree?
I don't agree. No, I don't.
I wouldn't say that we're all spiritually bored. I'm sure,
we all have
everyone's had that
phases
time.
of it.
Yeah,
But I
but
wouldn't
I
s-
wouldn't say we're all always spiritually bored.
Yeah, I also don't like that circle thing, that
What's
the
circle thing?
inspiration, blah 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 blah. That's
Wait, what was that? Where did you hear that?
It was some
Hippy
speaker on
dippy.
YouTube.
I got on YouTube.
a hippie.
On the YouTubes.
No, it was something talking about. It was talking about motivation.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
I don't subscribe to those motivation things. They're not backed by science, and they're a bunch of phooey. But that's just me.
What's the one guy?
It may have been a TED Talk too. I can't remember.
Tony, is it Anthony Robin or whatever?
Yeah.
Tony Robbins, dude.
Just because it's a TED
Right?
Talk doesn't mean it's great. Look,
No, I know.
Look,
I'm just
TED
saying, but
Talk.
it makes sense.
Look, TED Talk. They gave a TED Talk to the person who runs the YouTube channel Queer Kid Stuff, that uses a teddy bear to teach like kindergartners and below about the gay community and how to cross dress in that. So, but I'm just saying, no, I know that's fine. That's fine. There's a lot of theories about management and inspiration. I haven't heard that one in particular, but
I thought it was interesting. It kind of made sense to me.
okay, that's fine. It makes sense to you. Go for it. That I'm not saying you don't do
Can't
that.
do it now.
Yeah, didn't
Can't-
say
can't
that.
ever do
Can't listen to it if it doesn't make sense.
But-
if it don't make sense, everybody is not good.
Although, little tangent here, you could probably get a degree
Paul's
on
like-
YouTube versus actually going to school and probably learn more on YouTube than in school. Anyways, all
But I want to see where Paul is gonna go.
right, Paul, go for it.
Anyways, let's go on.
Yeah,
So I'm going to answer my question first,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to ask my next question,
More
which is
questions.
going to throw him for a big loop.
Yeah.
Not so much you,
Yeah.
because it's going to fly completely in the face of what you just
just
talked
said.
about. But we'll get to that in a second.
I'm excited.
It'll be interesting to see how you respond to it, because in my head, I'm not able to reconcile.
What I said to what you're about to say.
But to my
His
my
question.
next question. But what I'm about to say first isn't the question. I'm going to talk about. So spiritual boredom, that has come many a times for me, I would have to say. Less questiony, more statement of facty there than that sounded like. And
Right.
for me, what that normally came about as was more, I guess you could say, during those, during the times when depression was hitting in that, but it was more along the lines of, has God forgotten me? What's my purpose in life sort of deal? And it wasn't so much I guess shouldn't say the disinterest in God, but it was the disinterest in believing the things that
Yeah.
I should know,
Yeah.
and not letting myself realize those things. And it felt like, it's an old Supertone song, like The Wilderness. Like you're just journeying through the wilderness alone. Like I've seen these things that God has done, and then I'm
You're
gone.
excluded from it.
I'm gone. And that leads to then that disinterest. Like, okay, fine. You know what? I don't feel like God's doing anything in my life. I'm just going to bye-bye.
Right.
You know? So
Hmm.
yeah, I have seen that in my life. And that's more, it's not like a cycle everyday thing. It's usually it happens around certain events or certain things that are going on in my life, mentally, or,
Mhm.
those wonderful times when I would work 90 plus hours a week, that sort of thing.
Ugh.
Yeah, exactly. So that being said, I do have a question.
Oh no.
How can boredom be used for good? Is there a way that you could use that boredom to actually channel an interest back into God? Is there a way that you could use that boredom as a jumping board for betterness? And why are we afraid of being bored sometimes? Is it necessarily a bad thing? This is a multi-part question, I understand. Is being bored necessarily a bad thing? There's multiple things there. I can go first if you want me to. Or actually, if Brewer wants to go first.
That's the question again.
Is being bored necessarily a bad thing? Like, can there be good to come out of going through that?
Yeah, can you use it as maybe a jumping off point into other things? And why are we afraid of it? Why are we afraid of being bored sometimes?
What's your answer?
What's my answer?
You just want to hear his?
I want to hear his. I want to hear where he's going with it.
All right, fine. So what I would say this is, why are you shaking your head?
Oh, it was just to his. Okay.
Well, I try not to give my answer first most of the time, just to not influence your guys' answers. But
yeah,
what are you saying? We can't make up our own mind, Paul?
No, yeah, exactly.
Aaron, stop.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
I'm
Anyways,
not a pushover.
So let me start breaking this down one by one. Do I think boredom is necessarily a bad thing? No. Do I think it could be used for good? Yes. Do I think that we are afraid of it? Yes. And here is why I say all of this stuff. Sometimes in that boredom is really more a thing of us needing to learn how to maybe wait. It's not necessarily, where we're feeling that God isn't moving in our lives or we're disinterested. And maybe it's a thing of we need to learn how to take joy in those things that maybe we lost the ability to take joy in before. Those things where, the reading of the word, the prayer, going, learning more either in classes or sermons and that, those things that may brought us joy when we were first saved, over time becomes just kind of ritualistic almost. It becomes something that we're expected to do, that we do every week. And that if we don't show up at such and such place at such and such a time, people go, oh, hey, where were you? What's going on? Is everything okay? And most of the time that's good that they are coming back and asking, hey, what's going on? That's great. But at the same time, it then kind of builds into that brain of ours that this has to be something we have to do. And I'm doing it just to do it. I'm not doing it to enjoy it. And sometimes in that boredom, you're then able to deconstruct, bring back everything that you thought you knew, and find that joy and that passion again in those things. So yes, I do think boredom is okay. Yes, I do, once in a while, not all the time. Yes, I do think it could be used for good. Yes, I think we're scared of it when we shouldn't be. And that's why. As Josh is furiously writing down everything I just was saying to try to deconstruct it.
No,
So, floor is over to you two.
Yeah.
Go.
Aaron.
Yeah, I knew you were going to have me go next because you're you. I'm just kidding. I was, yeah.
I'm trying to think maybe if I was describing what I was talking about before wrong. I'm just processing. Seriously, I'm processing your guys' responses right now to kind of see if maybe I
haven't
should
responded yet.
Should I know? That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm having you go.
All right, Aaron, I guess you're up.
Yeah, I am. So okay, yeah, all right. So do I think it could be good or it can be used for good? Yes.
Okay.
Scared of it? I guess maybe majority yes.
Okay. Should we be scared of it?
Myself, no. Should we be? No. Shouldn't be scared of it. But yeah, I guess I would say it may probably, I don't know, I'll never ask anybody if they're scared of being accused of spiritually bored or anything, or just not being accused of it, but actually being spiritually bored.
Take it outside the spiritual realm though. Just in general, people don't like being bored. It's always seen as a negative context.
Oh.
For the most part.
Yeah. Well, I guess what
Okay, so
what is bored then?
Remember, it's a disinterest. Remember when you were a kid, let's say, right? And you would go to your mom, there's nothing to do.
Right.
I'm bored.
I mean, can you, yes. So when you're bored, don't you just normally, well, no, you don't do nothing. What do you do when you're bored? I don't know.
Sometimes you do nothing.
I would say, yeah, but then don't you get bored of doing nothing? But then I just do nothing anyways.
You do nothing to pass the time of doing nothing.
I hate this.
And that's what some people do spiritually. They do nothing because they feel nothing and they don't want to do nothing. So they do nothing. And then they're tired of doing nothing by doing nothing.
Yeah, that's not good. That's bad.
Follow that rabbit trail.
Yeah. So should we be scared of it? No. I'm trying. Why can't I think of the first question again? Or just is it good?
Can it be used for good?
It can be used for.
Okay, you said yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mainly because gosh, oh my, I'm seeing him write my name down. Wow.
So he doesn't have an original answer. He's going to construct an answer combined of our answers.
with ours.
Yep.
Go
on.
So I would say it can be used for good because I mean, shoot.
Let me
someone. Oh,
I say, let me ask this first, and then you can continue on, and maybe this will help you out. Is there ever a time that you can think of where you were spiritually bored, but then that helped launch off into something better? Personally, can you?
And
if not, that's fine.
I suppose. I suppose so. I don't know. Gosh, but then I guess I don't know. Maybe it's too soon for me to give an actual answer. I don't know. That's a hard one, I suppose. Because just thinking, like, I think this year has been really good for me spiritually.
2019, you mean?
Yeah.
2019 to 2020.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Just making sure.
Just because I don't know. Well, I think I've learned a few things. Or I guess just learning more, I guess, even about like Jesus and stuff like that. And like just revisiting some old stories that, I've heard before, but just hearing them again and it just kind of almost shed a new light. Also being heard the story from different pastors and stuff like that kind of shed a new light on some of it and just like kind of like a slap in the face, like, hey, this is who this Jesus guy is, and makes it all the better, has made it all the better for me to want to even to be part of it kind of thing, or be a follower of Christ. Because it can be used for good for the people that are in a slump that are disinterested. Be like, I've been there too.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess for you could kind of tell them what it was that really helped you get along and get over that boredom, per se. But I feel like the answer, the classic Sunday school answer to really getting out of a lot of it is, and it sounds weird, but it like that was one thing, like reading from one message I think that really struck me in 2020 was called Seeing Jesus.
Okay.
And it's like, I was like, when you really, I guess, read about him and learn who he is, and just, I guess, just come to an understanding of like that he is who he is, and that he is who he's claimed to be. It's just, that's been the changing point. And I mean, in any of the religions that are out there, I mean, Jesus is the turning point. That he's the one that makes it worth it. I guess when you compare other religions and stuff like that to one another, it's like he is the one that makes it all worth it, kind of thing.
But in a way, you need to learn how to be patient to wait for him to move.
Well, you
do things.
That's where, trust, faith comes into play, is where, I mean, you might not. There was this one song that I thought was pretty good that I also had heard this year for the first time. But it was talking about, even though when you seem like you're in a season of just like nothing, it's like where you yourself do not see anything happening. There could be a lot happening in the background that you're just unaware of, and you have to have trust and waiting on him,
right,
for it all to come together. And obviously, as us weak humans, will slack off or have our time of screwing up, and will start to kind of stray, I guess you could say, to a point. Some, not everybody, but some people. Well, I mean, everybody obviously has moments, but anywho, like, I guess even like going, that's not really a good example of it. I would say I could go back to last night again for the whole sound thing. Like, I just was relying on myself to get stuff done, not realizing that, what I had already would get the job done, and I just, whatever.
Right.
But it's like, because there's been like things in my life where it's like, okay, I don't feel like anything is happening, or I just, even like some Sunday, my first Sunday playing drums and stuff like that. Like, I mean, it was a good day, whatever. But then like after, like throughout the week, I just kind of come to the question, like, man, like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing here, kind of thing. Like, what am I being, or what can I be used in for good type thing? Like, I don't really think I'm doing a whole lot, I guess, for the kingdom of God and stuff like that. And then going to like a friend's birthday party, or not even, or just Sunday, next Sunday, of people that came up to me like, man, it's like, it's like seeing you up there really worshiping last Sunday on the drums and stuff like that was like, just, I don't know, just really stood out to me, kind of thing. I'm just like, what? Like, it's really, what's the word? not inspirational, maybe, I don't know, inspirating,
Sure.
whatever. And I'm just like, huh? So it's like you never see all the things that you do that can have an impact on people. And then when you feel like it's just small stuff happening that you don't notice, then you just feel like you're not doing anything. And then you're just kind of like a waste of how I would look at it myself was a waste of space. And then you see all these little things just are brought up to you later on. You're like, whoa, like I didn't realize that. So that was really cool. And like, but yeah, so that song was talking about how, like, we'll go on through life and at times think we're not doing anything good or whatever, God's not working, but in the background, we're the stuff that we don't see, he's doing stuff. We just haven't noticed it yet, or hasn't, isn't to our knowledge yet. So there's that. Crap, now I don't remember everywhere else I was gonna go with anything. Oh, well,
Continue going on. Josh is writing a novel.
yeah, right. Oh, yeah. So seeing Jesus, this guy was doing a message on, I always screw this up. I always forget that he was a wee little man. Why can I never, Zacchaeus, the tax collector guy.
Okay. Yeah.
That was, so he had gone to go see Jesus.
Yep.
And all of his followers were with him. Like, what is he doing here? He shouldn't be here kind of thing. And, Jesus calls him out and wants to see him and whatnot. And I mean, obviously for how much the people that were with him, with Jesus, despise this guy. Cause I mean, tax collectors were awful people.
For many reasons, but yes.
No, yeah, for many reasons. Yeah. I mean, it was deserved.
It wasn't just that they were collecting taxes.
No, yeah. There was a ton of just nasty stuff going on with them. Yet Jesus prioritized, making sure that guy felt that he was cared about or wanted to be recognized by this guy Jesus, who's the Son of God and stuff like that. And like for that story, I mean, just to show that Jesus doesn't just want the attention of like the people that are already following him. He's going after the people that need him, kind of thing.
Right.
So like that was a huge, like, I don't know why. I don't know what it was about me this year, but something about just like slapped me in the face with that one. I was like, what the heck? And I mean, several other messages. There was, I can never pronounce this guy. Is it Jairus? I think was his name.
Okay.
He was a religious leader kind of guy. So Jesus and his disciples are coming back over like this lake.
Okay.
And they're walking through the crowd. This guy, I think it's Jairus. Hey, my daughter's dying. She's sick. I couldn't even come and bring her to you because she's too sick to make the little trip out to him.
Right.
Come to my house. As they're on their way, kind of thing, to his house. They're pushing through this crowd of people, and this girl had just touched his robe and then was healed of her sickness, which from listening to what the pastor said, it was female problems.
Right.
But anywho, so she was healed, and Jesus notices this. He's like, who did that? Wanting her to come out and just, say who it was that did it. And of course he gets to her. But like, so this person that probably a lot of the people in this city or town, whatever it was, probably would have had nothing to do with her. She was an unclean person, someone not worth, putting up with. And then yet Jesus being Jesus is like, calls her his daughter and loves her. And like the thing from that story was, Jesus doesn't just care about the like important, high and mighty people. Like the people that are outcast by society are also, I mean, just as important as anybody else was. So that was a really good message, I feel like, for me this year. And then obviously then still going, it was cool to see the faith that Jairus had, of course, being probably tested, and I'm sure he's getting impatient because it's like his daughter's life is on the line here. His like from what listening to the sermon, like his buddies or whatever, like, hey, dude, all right, this Jesus dude's not worth it. He's like, don't, he's not going to help your daughter on now. Like, your daughter's done. She's dead. And Jesus is like, he calls them fools or whatever and tells them to get out. And then, of course, I mean, he says, oh, your daughter's just sleeping kind of thing. And sure enough, she's A-okay now thing. Like, I don't know. She's just, man, he's the biggest deal. He's the top dog to make it all worth it. And that's what's really, I guess, come to make this, walk of Christianity all the more exciting and not bored for me, at least from 2019 to now, has been biggest, I guess high for me so far.
Okay.
You could say. But, and like, I wouldn't say I've been bored since then, like since all of this has just been starting to happen. And like, I've been one, yes, it's been getting into the word, which is very important. Because I mean, if you're not doing it, so if you're not doing it for yourself, then I mean, you're not in it.
Right.
So there's that. So yeah, this I can't say I've had like a time of spiritual boredom since all of this has been starting. But there's the times where I'm just like, man, it's like I'm not. For me, it just pretty much comes down to like I'm not really making much of a difference in anything. And then there's just stupid little like thoughts come into your mind, and then you start playing around with those, and then that's destructive. And then and then something ends up happening where it's just like, Aaron, stop, flee, from those thoughts or whatever,
Right.
Because that's destructive and that's not true. Especially, if you are with Christ, you find your identity in him, not in these things of the world or just your own thoughts on yourself is not who you are, I guess, to Christ and stuff like that. That's where you need to find identity in. And then, I mean, for me, since all that it's been, wow. Gosh, that was extreme. I don't even know where I went anymore. I'm just lost.
You just pulled a Josh.
I did. I need to go home. That's it. I'm done. No.
So
Only one.
Okay.
Now it's Josh's turn.
As I say, did you have anything else you want to add, Mr. Brewer?
It's kind of sad because I knew you're talking to me in that moment. That makes me
Yeah.
sad.
Uh-huh.
So no, yes. Just to, I guess, recap. Yeah, I think it can be used.
Here
for
we go
good.
again.
I'm not going into all of this again. Believe me.
Anyways, go on.
So yeah, it can be used for good. And should you be scared of it? Absolutely not.
All right.
Because everybody's going to have time like that they need help getting through. And that's where the brothers and sisters in Christ come together and you help each other through it.
All right.
Because you can't do it alone. It's not meant to be done alone.
So just for everyone, to catch everyone up, Josh now has a full page of notes from what me and Aaron just said. So let's hear Josh's unoriginal answer.
Yeah. What's your answer, Josh?
So your question is boredom bad?
I just answered the questions now again.
No, I'm saying I'm just rehashing.
Okay.
Is boredom bad, and can it be used for good?
Essentially, yes.
Yes and yes.
Wait, so you should be scared of it?
No.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry. No and yes.
I was gonna say, I was like, wait a minute.
But I think where we can get confused with it is
Okay, clarify for us.
and some of the aspects you were talking about how you were up there on stage playing and then you came off and you're like, well, what's the point? And a phrase you used was a waste of space. I think we can often get confused between spiritual boredom and spiritual depression. And what's really a driving feature behind both? To me, spiritual boredom is more of a you in a sense, it's more you related, whereas spiritual depression is more along the lines of the devil and allowing, because ultimately we have thoughts, but God allows the devil to interject thoughts. He allows the devil to play with us to a point, not beyond our ability to control it. So depression, I think, is often blended in because depression distracts you just as much as anything else, which will cause you to think you're bored with something, and you might not be bored. You're just being blindsided with all these thoughts that keep you from thinking you're in a good place. Because we all can agree we are sinful. We're all lazy. Aaron's the holy one in the room.
I say, talk about yourself about being lazy, but go on.
What? I say Paul
I
is
am.
a very hard worker.
I say, would you like to take on half my workload?
No,
You'd be falling asleep by 2 p.m. every day.
I would.
he already does.
I do. So that's where I think we might have a little bit of a difference in how we're looking at it. Because before, when I was saying spiritual boredom, it's like it's a time where you notice. Okay, now the key word that I'm saying is notice. You notice you don't have that drive. You notice you don't have that desire. You notice that you just could care less about it at the point in time. Okay? You notice it. So we classify that notice of that lack of something, and in this case, wanting to have a relationship with God and nurture it, we classify it as spiritual boredom. Would you guys agree or no?
I'm just trying to process if everything fits within my definition of spiritual boredom in that regard. For the most part, I would have to say I would take out the notice part.
The notice?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't, so you're saying in your definition, you wouldn't notice.
Well,
There's a difference.
You may or may not notice. The notice is not necessarily a key component of it.
Now,
It's where you don't have that desire. Where you notice it or not, that's up. That I wouldn't say is a key component of that definition. I know I'm getting nitty-picky in the weeds there, but that's a key word in that.
No, I'm saying notice as it's a time frame when you can clearly say, yes, I'm not in the Word every day. I'm not praying every day. Yes, I come home and I only care about myself. I don't put my attention towards my family. That's what I'm saying is notice, because to get there, you don't notice it. Well, it's a downhill trend.
But it might not even necessarily be that like it's a conscious decision of I'm not going to read today. I'm not going to do this. It may stem from, you know what?
You're just that tired. You come home and you end up falling asleep on the couch.
Not even a thing of I'm that tired. It's I'm bored with what God is doing for me. I don't see any change. I don't see any difference. Why should I continue this? This is a repetitive thing that gets me nothing.
That you know of.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm looking at it from the physical side of things, or maybe I'm not seeing any spiritual growth. I'm not seeing any this happen. I'm not seeing this. So it becomes that boredom of the disinterest in it. It's just like, for example, Aaron, let's say Aaron picks up a gym membership. He goes,
I was just about to go on to that.
He goes for 2 weeks and he sees no changes.
I don't have a 6-pack yet.
He gets disinterested now because of that. He's not noticing the micro changes that are leading to the bigger macro changes. He's looking and focusing at that macro change. And because of that, he gets disinterested, doesn't go, and still pays the gym.
That sucks. That's a waste.
I don't think I would call that spiritual boredom at that point.
What would you call that?
I think I would call it spiritual depression, because you are looking for a result. And because you're not receiving that result, you are therefore falling into a place of, hey, it must not be worth it. So
I would say boredom.
You'd say boredom. I say it's more along the lines of depression and how I'm seeing it. Because, I mean, if you go into a scenario and you put in a bunch of hard work and you don't reap so if you put in a lot of work into something and you turn around and you don't have anything to show for it, I mean, you're not bored at that point. You're disappointed.
I wouldn't call, I wouldn't call that depression, because when you talk about spiritual depression, that's more that melancholy. Woe is me. Woe is me. Woe is this. That's not I'm not seeing a change. Those are two different things.
If you're expecting a change and you don't receive it, you had put hope into doing something that you were going to reap something, and therefore you don't have it.
But you have some disappointment. That's not a depression.
But I wouldn't call that being bored.
Two different things.
I wouldn't call that being bored. Now, I see where you're drawing that connection between boredom is something that you do not have an interest, or you have a lost interest in something, and therefore I can see how you're connecting that. But that's where that's a little bit of a gray spot for me. But anyways,
I think of it this way: spiritual depression is more feeling like maybe I would even probably even get it close to real depression, where it's like that foggy mindset. You don't know exactly what's going on because of all the stuff that's going on. You can't think straight. You can't pray straight. You can't do that. You might be at that time so deep in the Word and deep in prayer at that time, but yet you still feel like everything is just going to crap. That's what I would say spiritual depression is.
As far as you can see.
I don't know. Like I totally get where you're coming, but
because someone who's in spiritual depression, just like normal depression, they're looking for that thing to fix them. They're going every day going, God, help me. Show me what's wrong. And then they're getting no answer back, or they don't think they're getting an answer back.
So then you're drawing the line to calling it spiritual boredom.
So then I'm calling the line between spiritual boredom. So that's the spiritual depression. The spiritual boredom is, again, like the gym goer. You maybe, you've been doing this for so long, it's become ritualistic where you're not finding joy in it. And so instead of, because, the classic example that you see, family sits down, okay, let's say grace. Thank you, Lord, for and you say the same prayer every time. It's ritualistic. You're not really engaging in it. But then when you actually, and then your evening prayers maybe, or whatever, they're ritualistic. You're not finding that joy. And instead finding a way to come back and say, let me enjoy this time with God, realizing that this is a time with the Creator that I get to talk with Him, not just a ritual that I have to do.
And
what were you going to say?
Yeah.
I'll say I feel like spiritual boredom is something that is more so in the U.S. And I would spiritual depression type stuff is probably more prevalent in like places like China and places where you can't
Well,
do. I would say that mainly because
okay.
here it's like, I guess, what is it that makes us so, or what happens to us individually where it's like we're just depressed because of being a Christian type thing?
And
Does
that's
that
where-
make sense?
And that's what I was
Is
saying
that
before.
right?
No.
I could be wording this completely
I
off.
say I'm having trouble. I honestly, I would see more spiritual depression here in the U.S. I wouldn't.
Depression?
Yeah, spiritual depression. And the reason I say that is
I feel
in China, right? Okay, and,
I feel
and,
like
and
there
here's
would be
how
boredom
I'm
there.
going. They can't be bored.
No,
they
yeah,
have,
they
have to
can't
be on.
be
They have
bored.
to be underground, and it's not so much a ritualistic thing or anything. So
No.
not again. That this is where I'm drawing that line. That spiritual
Yeah.
depression is where you're going. God, search me. Tell me what's wrong.
Right. Well, I guess
I wouldn't say someone who
I
is-
feel like you could have that more than in China because I mean you'll see, they might be, having their church doing stuff,
You're right.
and then I mean you have things where I don't know if it was recently
I-
or what, but they got like
I see where you're
big
going.
crackdown on the churches because they're
Right.
finding out that this stuff is happening, and then now they're taking action to stop this kind of stuff. So
Okay,
in
now
that aspect, I feel like there'd be more depression over there than here. It's just like, oh, I mean, yeah,
I get
I'm
what you're
doing
saying now.
this, but I don't see much.
You're speaking
This
of
is just kind of boring.
you're speaking of depression in the church sense and being able to
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
a micro depression versus a micro depression.
Depression, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
once you explain that, I
Yeah,
get
my
what you're
bad.
saying. No.
Okay.
That's why I push back because I want you to explain a little bit more.
Yes.
But yes, so that's where I draw the line between, and I'm saying I draw the line, not saying you have to draw the line, but that's where I draw the line between spiritual depression and spiritual boredom.
Then where is the one line drawn for everybody?
Anyways,
That's
go
why
on,
people get
Josh.
paid to do definitions. In a sense, you do cross over to both sides. So you do have a gray area with that, though, because even if you were saying if you're spiritually depressed, you are looking for God but not seeing anything. You're saying that's spiritually depressed. Now at the same time, now I'm not trying to argue your definition. I'm just trying to help you see how I'm seeing it.
Right.
So because then in the other aspect, you were talking about spiritual depression and like in a sense going to the gym. You're doing something and you're not seeing the micro results in a sense. And in both contexts, you're talking about results. In one, you are having this melancholy feeling and you're looking for God for results and he's not giving you anything and you're classifying that as spiritual depression. But at the same time, you're talking about just doing something normal without the melancholy feeling.
Right.
And it's the same thing. So that's what I'm saying. Your areas are crossing over and that's where it's a little.
They might seem like they're crossing over, except the big difference where I define it for the spiritual side. I use the gym. Yes, I did. Is
very easy thing to use.
I know, but like again, where I kind of delineate the two is the spiritual boredom people. They're doing maybe the prayers or whatever as a ritualistic thing because they have to. They were told they have to. They're expected to. Whereas the depressed one, they are earnestly seeking with all their heart, their soul, their mind for that. They're not just doing this ritualistically. They are pouring everything into it.
So there's the Psalms.
Yeah.
Now you're using the severity side of the spiritual depression.
I'm not using the severity side. I'm just using how they're even approaching that. They even approach God. One side approaches God ritualistically, and the other side approaches God full-heartedly with fervent prayer. I'm not talking about the severity of boredom versus depression. I'm just talking about this. How they even interact back to God is different. Do we need to add a pause there for you?
Let's go. Ugh.
So it makes sense. It does. It does make sense.
By the way, I just
No,
like pushing back because it makes you have to define your things better.
I know. Yeah, there are many variables that come into it, and there is the difference between someone who is taught Christianity and a walk with Christ as a ritual versus someone who is taught with it as a relationship on a personal level. So there is a difference.
You're right.
So unfortunately, our definitions will never be able to be completely defined because of how people are taught raised, their culture speaks things, as well as the different denominations and yada, yada, yada. So, but I will agree, spiritual boredom is not bad. I do agree with your statement before. It does allow you to see things, and it does allow you to open up your mind, especially if it's a very ritualistic type of relationship that you have.
Mhm.
It can help you see things, and it helps you understand that you're taking something for granted and you're not placing the values in the right spot. It allows you to reprioritize your life too. So I agree with that. I do.
Okay.
And I agree that it can be used for good.
Okay.
So, yes. But,
Okay.
but
Here's the but. I was waiting for the but, by the way.
Yeah.
What's the but?
I do see on a minute level that spiritual depression on a minute level can be equated for spiritual boredom. So that is something, and if you guys are listening, if you find yourself in what Aaron has said is a waste of space, or you feel like you're not of value, that is what I would classify as a minute spiritual depression.
I wouldn't even classify it as spiritual depression. I just call it depression. There you go.
Well, but in his context, he was referring to it in a sense of he was just on stage playing and he's coming off and he's feeling, that's where
it wasn't that, I guess I shouldn't, it wasn't that immediate. It was like throughout the week, then that started kind of creep in just because the week wasn't necessarily
Right.
the best.
And I believe we all can attest that we are constantly being hit with those thoughts, especially when, now I tell you right now, I'm pretty sure each one of us are going to be tempted in the next 24 hours because of this conversation, because we are trying to uplift Christ, because we're trying to talk about Christ, we will be tempted. And we could, all three of us, end up going through a phase in the next 24 hours where we doubt ourselves in our relationship with God. I am willing to, I'd put money on that, honestly.
It's already starting to turn for him. Just kidding.
It's not. And in the next episode, Josh will admit that he's an atheist.
Yeah, right.
What?
No, yeah, that's a rough one, Amy.
Never mind. I was riffing on what you were just saying. So go on.
Oh.
Well, I do find that funny though, because like after going to, I was at Fort Wilderness Camp this last week. Well, yeah, the last weekend. And it's like, it's like after having those kinds of weekends, or just those those times of having that like the extra like little high kind of thing going on. It is funny how quickly it seems like the temptations try to come in. Well, I mean, yeah, it's all just comes from our sinful desires too. But man, it's crazy how much more intense the tempting feels after stuff like that.
Well, you're a little more tempting of a target. You're on a sugar high. You're not on permanent solid nutrition yet, and so you're an easy target.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we got to cut this guy down. He needs to.
So let's be honest there. But anyways,
take the lava slide down to the south side, as someone that I know has said.
I've never heard that phrase, but
I never have until he said that. I was like, wow. I was like, that is kind of sad, but that's a good.
But that's okay because I know what it means when I say a woman is glowing, and you two didn't. So that's okay.
Anyways,
she's pregnant.
Go on, Josh.
Now you just made me think of it when referring to ritualistic relationships versus personal in a sense, relationships. I see ritualistic having more of a spiritual boredom than personal. Because if you treat it as it's just in general, if you treat your relationship with Christ as I have to do this, or this must be included with this activity, a task, and in a sense, if that's, how should I put it? That's how you have to treat it, but that's not how you should view it. And I think that's a big thing too when it comes to people when they dip into spiritual boredom, is they don't look at it the way they should. Should it be something like my dad has? He's created a ritual of it. Every morning before he wakes up, before he goes down and gets a cup of coffee, he opens the Bible. But he sees it, even though it's more of like not like a ritual, but it's a task. It's something that he has said, I will prioritize my time with God before I grab a cup of coffee. And to him,
it's a behavior that you do.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
but it's not like I have to.
When I talk about ritualistic, it's the standard. Thank you, Lord, for this food that we eat. The ritualistic things you do. You show up on Sundays, even though you don't want to be there, and you just sit there and take up a pew spot. That's what I'm talking about. Ritualistic. I'm not, because the people who are doing the ritualistic thing, they're not opening their word. They're not praying.
Oh yeah. And I use ritualistic with my father, and that was probably, I shouldn't have used that word. It is it's
a habit. Yes,
thank you. That's the word I was looking for. It's a habit that he has created.
Yeah, a habit
is disciplined habit.
A habit is different from a ritual.
And I think one of the other things, in order to keep ourselves from going into spiritual boredom, is to be disciplined with our relationship clearly understand that it is for the better good of ourselves and the people around us, and not to look at it as a chore, but to treat it as like I said, you need to you look at it as like a task and make it a habit. But in a sense, it is something that is the best thing you could do for yourself, no matter where you are in the world. It's a mindset.
I don't want to ever have to do something. I want to do it.
Yes, but let's face it.
say
How often do you not want to look into the Word? How often do you not want to pray? How often do you not want to look to the guy next to you and say, "Hey, I'll pray for you"? How often do you not want to do that? If you are not in a spiritual high, you don't want to.
It doesn't have to be in a spiritual high.
No.
I guess that could just go back to the gym thing too.
It's
I don't want to go to the gym in my current state, but I should. Well, should or have to go to the gym to get better. So I mean, there is that time where it's kind of like you have to get yourself to do it for a while, and then once you like you're taking the step of faith and believing, then you can see things like kind of like happening. There, it's like, whoa, I want this kind of thing, and then that's where it changes. And obviously, I mean, they're gonna have times where it's like, I mean, I don't really feel like doing this right now,
and there'll be times where you'll take a pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and to start out, let's say you're trying to get out of that funk. Being ritualistic, while I rag on it, it's a good thing to start with. It's a good thing to get you consistent. And then once you're consistent and you have that habit going, you can then say, okay, you know what? I actually miss this if I don't do this for a day.
Right.
And then that becomes that habit, and then it becomes less ritualistic as that relationship is built. It's the same thing as, Josh, do you have to take Amy out on a date every so often, or do you want to take her out on a date?
Has to.
Okay, bad example of Josh.
I'm kidding. Clearly, it's not a has to, because he'll do that over hanging out with.
I agree. And just when did I say have to?
Well, no, that's what I'm asking.
No, he's making that a point.
That's what I'm making. It's that relationship thing. Yeah. It's not you have to. This isn't a thing that has to be a habit that you learn. It's I want to because I like you.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's where, to me, when we describe spiritual boredom as a time to where we lose interest, it's hard for me. To me, I will say I'm going to be honest, my relationship with Christ is lazy. It is extremely lazy. Years, I'll have these mountains, but I'll sit in the valleys for quite some time, and I hate it. And so should I describe those valley times as spiritual boredom? Because that's the case. That I have more spiritual boredom than I actually do have mountaintops. And
you know what? Guess what? You're a youngster. You're a youngster.
Oh, I know. I got plenty. Hope I got plenty more years to go.
Yeah, that is always a hope. You never know, because that could happen at any time. But I mean, the thing is, though, what's the recent trend, though? Is it the recent trend the same as it was 8 years ago? Or is the recent trend less valley time and more, maybe sloped incline time? I'm not talking mountain peak times, because mountain peak times, that's sugar rush time.
Yeah.
Are you more that gradual incline, or are you more the straight valley below? If you're more gradual valley than you were 8 years ago, good.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way it should be. Now, and that's how you learn to do that.
And this is where I'm kind of using my description of spiritual boredom based on my experience with my life and my walk with Christ. Is at any point in time, I can allow stuff to pull me away. Have I gotten into times and periods where I'm just like, nope, I'm going to do this before I do anything else? Or, oh, I have this hangout opportunity, but instead I'd rather sit here and dive into the Bible. I'm going to wait an hour before I go out. Yes, I have been through that time. But more often than not, I find myself actually kind of sit myself down and smacking my hand and say, don't touch that mouse. Don't start playing video games. And it's more, for me, it's a thing of, it's something that I need to nurture. And this is what I was saying before. It's something that we're in a sense of, we're always in. It's just when I say more noticeable, it's when we are able to define this situation or this time frame as spiritual boredom. Because to me, I'm spiritually bored all the time, but how I choose to take that, because we're naturally sinful. We're going to sin. We don't.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
We don't want to be with Christ. We don't want to go that way. But when we dive into it and we understand and we see the need of Him in our life, okay, we identify the beauty of Him and His Son, And it makes it easier. It makes it easier for us to continue moving, to keep trucking through. And so
Right.
that's where I'm saying I see spiritual boredom being a lifetime thing and not necessarily something that we're always doing. It's just, what's the will? Am I going to allow myself to lose interest in something that is eternal? Am I going to allow myself, because I can do anything to gain my attention. That's why God always says, get out of your comfort zone. Because once we get comfortable, we get lazy with it.
Yeah, and that's
We get
easy to
used
do in the
it.
U.S.
And like we were saying before, it was when you hit that spot in your description of what spiritual boredom is, you're able to see what we're taking for granted. Is because we're not getting uncomfortable. We're not constantly seeking new ways to glorify God, to reach to his people, to do all sorts of stuff. And that's where I equate spiritual boredom with the lifetime, and it's more of a will. It's what are you willing to do? Because what was it? What Sincock boy was this? What's the one that's the pastor?
Ben.
Ben. I think it was Ben. And Pastor Dave, him and Ben were sitting in a sermon. I remember him telling me this. And he noticed that Ben was leaning forward in a seat, jotting down notes like crazy. Pastor Dave's, kind of chilling back and listening to the sermon. And he asked Ben, he said, I believe it was Ben. He said, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm seeing what God has to offer. He's like, yeah, but you're like super, super into it, because most people, we kind of sit back.
Yeah.
And Ben was like, if I remember this correctly, I'm not going to say quote because this obviously isn't going to be a quote, but pretty much Ben was saying the American culture is to be entertained and even be entertained in church. There are so many churches where the pastors say what we want to hear and not speak the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, no matter where I go, I need to be looking for the truth. I need to have because what? Oh, you're just scaring me here. I'm like, what am I saying wrong? Because ultimately, God isn't saying, hey, how should I word this right? This is difficult. We shouldn't view the Bible and what it has to say as entertainment.
Right.
We should see it as something that is valuable, as something that we want to seek earnestly.
You want to see it as steak, not that nice candy that will give you the sugar high. You want it as something sustainable.
You want it solid. You want it sustainable. Yes. And so if it was Ben, I apologize if it wasn't Ben, but he was leaning forward, keeping his attention on the message, keeping his attention on the words that were coming out of this pastor's mouth. He was keeping his attention on the scripture. He was keeping his attention. He was not allowing to be entertained, but he was trying to, in a sense, the complete opposite of entertainment. He was trying to look for the entertainment. He was trying to look for the ways that he could glorify God.
He was intentionally engaging with the content provided.
Thank you. See, Paul, I knew you were here for something.
Wow. Nice.
Paul helps me find the words, especially since Paul, a lot of the times, can't use his own words. But thank you, Paul. So, yes, that's what it was. So that's where my mind is just kind of connected. Spiritual boredom, lifelong thing, and it's something we need to constantly be seeking.
Okay.
Finding new ways to glorify. So.
Before I wrap up, then, any last words here?
I mean, compared to what I already said, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think I have anything else to
Fair enough.
add off the top of my head.
Brewer, anything else you want to add?
No, you're done.
Yeah, I wrapped it up.
Okay.
With
cool.
your words. Thank you.
Okay. What was interesting during this conversation is seeing how, I guess, what I would describe as where each of us are at in our lives, which is different stages, both age-wise, financially, date-wise, where we're looking to get married sooner or not, and spiritually, and how we look at this one thing completely differently. And that's fine. So I just found that interesting. So anyways.
Especially since we all
stretch. Aaron just killed himself stretching. Got it.
And I say the other interesting too is we all are within the same vicinity of the same teachings too. So you used to attend fellowship. I attend on Wednesday nights. So it's interesting to see is, same time is how closely we are related to the teachings, but yet where our minds are in definitions and understanding and how we view things can be so drastically different at the same time.
Yep. So with that being said, if you did enjoy this episode and like it, check us out again at uywords.com. If you want to leave us a rating, actually, we just signed up for a new service that will greatly help us and help you as well. If you go to ratethispodcast.com/words, it will actually direct you to your device specific location to give us a rating for you. So you don't have to worry about, okay, I'm on Android. Where do I go to leave you a rating? I'm on Windows. I'm on a Mac. Where do I go to give you a rating? When you go to that link, ratethispodcast.com/words, it will automatically give you a list of where you can leave us a rating at, as well as where you can download us for your specific device. So that'd be helpful as well. And I just wanted to point out, Johnson now looks like he's sleeping. So I think it's time that we go ahead and wrap this up. What do you guys say about that? Yeah?
Uh-huh.
All right.